All right, so you're going to make your telephone calls, cold calls to try and set appointments. This is always fun, right? I mean, who doesn't love to make telephone calls? So this might as well be just be pulling out your fingernails. It's that much fun. But we have to make telephone calls because calls work. But here's the thing. We make telephone calls and we're speaking to people. We are interrupting them. We're talking to gatekeepers and decision makers, and you're calling the wrong number. You're leaving voice messages, not leaving voice messages, and so forth. Yep, we have to do the work. There's no way to get around it. We have to do the work. There's no magic fairy dust that we can sprinkle on anybody to actually make the things happen. You have to do the work to set the appointment. But have you thought about two things that are going to have some significant, that are going to have a real impact on what you get out of your work? Two things: what you're saying and how you're saying it. That is, the delivery of it is also as important as what you're saying. What you're saying, we're going to talk about your cold call care. We're going to talk about that. What are you saying to move your prospect to the next step? And how are you delivering the material? Because if you sound robotic, if you sound like you're reading it, you're going to have terrible results, even though you might have a decent script. So the script is important, the wording, but so is the delivery. In this podcast episode, we're going to talk about how to do cold calling to get the results that you want. Stay tuned. Hey, everybody. My name is Charles Specht. Welcome to the Millionaire Insurance Producer Podcast. It is great to have you with us today. We're going to be talking about cold calling, but I want to do a little bit of a timeout here in just a moment. We're going to get to that in just a second, but I wanted just to remind you, my Permission Producer School is going to be starting on October 14th. Have you checked out permissionproducerschool.com? I want you to go and check it out. www.permissionproducerschool.com. I have created a producer school, but it is not focused on coverages. It's not focused on limits and things like that. It's not policy language, plan data, all that. It is 100% focused on sales activities for new and newer producers. Typically for producers that are trying to get to that $100,000 and then those who are trying to scale to $250,000 of commission. That's where it's going to be at. So new and newer producers, it's commercial based for property and casualty and employee health benefits. Again, because it's not focused on policy language and plan data, it's focused on sales activity. And I do it from a commercial perspective. So both P&C and employee health benefits are going to get tremendous value out of it. Also, any account managers who are sort of assuming the role of a quasi-producer or wanting to make that leap into production, be great for you. Sales managers, agency owners who are trying to figure out a better systematic process for training for your producers, be also good for you. But go to permissionproducerschool.com. I only have a limited number of seats available for this first cohort. It's going to be the 14th through the 18th, about 3 hours every single day for that week, very intensive. And then for the 2 weeks after that, we're going to have some review sessions and some Q&A. Permissionproducerschool.com. It costs $497, and it might be the absolute best $497 that you could ever spend or that your agency could spend for your producer or account manager who's trying to be successful. The ROI, frankly, I think is just well worth the $497 investment in order to help your producers get to $100,000 of commission in the first 6 to 9 months, and then to get to $250,000 of commission in the first 15 to 18 months in which they're in the business. That's what we're trying to get, Permission Producer School. Now back to our regularly scheduled program for today. Cold calling and scripting. Oh, wow. Love cold calling. I mean, raise your hand virtually if you feel like you love cold calling. Most people do not like to cold call, because they just feel like it's an old, antiquated approach. But I want to ask you, do people have telephones? Yeah, they do. Got mine right here. Everybody has their phone with them. They have telephones with them at all times. They read text messages. They have telephones in their offices. They have telephones at their places of business. Do not think that the telephone doesn't work. It actually works very, very well. But it is a bit of a numbers game. Let's just call it what it is. It's a bit of a numbers game. And the numbers don't lie. We're going to talk about how to get better at setting first appointments with your script when you're doing your telephone calls. Okay? Now, I don't have any magic fairy dust to sprinkle on anybody to simply make them get a lot of appointments. However, if you're not getting results that you want out of your prospecting, it's because either what you're saying is wrong or your delivery is wrong. Okay? So let's just talk about your script for a moment on what I typically teach my clients on what I feel is the best sort of script that you could have for cold calling. Okay? And by the way, even when you put together this, and I'm going to refer to it as your script or your C3, your cold call carrot, your C3, your cold call carrot. This is what you say nonstop. You just keep repeating it over and over and over again. And when you have the right script, you can use that script in all of your email marketing going forward. You can use that script in your branding and your LinkedIn data or any kind of social media post. You can use that script, that cold call carrot, for any kind of newsletters or brochures that you put out. It's your big brag statement. So you need to have the right script. What I teach my clients when I'm doing coaching with them, and you'd even learn this in the Permission Producer School, is that it's usually going to be price plus something. Okay? Price plus something. Now, one of the big objections that I have when anybody's trying to put together a script, they're like, I don't want to talk about price savings because I feel greasy and I don't know if I can achieve it. Like, I get it. I totally understand. And we're going to handle that in just a second here. But let's just understand that when you are calling your prospects, you have significant disadvantages because you are a stranger and they don't want to talk to a stranger. They certainly don't want to meet with a stranger during work hours. They're busy doing stuff. They don't want to invite a stranger to their office to talk to you. And the third thing is they don't want to talk about insurance. It's not fun. They don't understand it. And so trying to get a prospect to meet with you for 30 minutes to an hour, to meet with a stranger during the 8 hours in which they're there trying to do their business and create more wealth and revenue, to meet with a stranger to talk about insurance, who wants to do that? You're absolutely right. Prospecting is difficult. Setting appointments is difficult, which means you have to start saying something to the prospect to get them to understand the value of what they're going to get if they choose to meet with you. And simply saying something like this tired old script that maybe you have used in the past, if you're still using it right now, smack your hand, stop using this wasted, very tired type of script. It's probably being used by all the gray-haired, people who are in the insurance business. They've been doing it for years. It's probably being used by your competitors, which is why you need to stop using it because everybody says it. It's something like this. Hey, Bob. My name is Charles Specht, and I work with XYZ Insurance Agency here in Brentwood, Tennessee. And I just want to tell you, we are a great agency. We've been around since 1973, and we have tremendous people here. Great customer service. They are really good people who, whenever you call, they pick that call up within 2 rings. We can process great certificates of insurance that are very good, timely fashion. We represent some of the most competitive insurance carriers that are out there. Bob, why I'm giving you a call, and I apologize for interrupting even right now, but the reason why I'm giving you a call is I was hoping, Bob, that I could stop by your office and maybe learn a little bit about you and your business, what it is that you're doing, and then maybe I can go to one of my insurance carriers and offer a quote, get them to offer you a quote and see if it might be able to help you at all. Would you like to meet with me? You know it? Like, hey, you have said it, haven't you? You have said it. Admit it. Laugh at yourself. Please stop saying it, however, and let's just move on to something that works. Again, it's a tired script. It has been said by thousands of people. Your insurance buyer has probably heard it several times in a week. We don't want to do that. We don't want to get thrown in the same bucket as everybody else. Now, here's why insurance agents tend to go to a script like that. It's because they're trying to help the insured to see why they're good, why they're better, all that kind of stuff, why they're helpful. But the problem is that all you've done is talk about yourself, and everybody else talks about themselves, and so they don't see any value there. What you have to do is start talking to the insured about what value they get out of meeting with you for 30 minutes. What's the end result? What do you hope to accomplish on their behalf? What does Bob get out of meeting with you, a stranger, during work hours, talk about insurance? What does Bob get? Now, stop saying that old script and come up with something different. There's not an absolutely perfect script that works for everybody. There's a script, however, that can perfectly work for you based upon your strengths and weaknesses and your agency, and certainly the type of business that you're calling on. Your script should be completely different if you're calling on law firms versus plumbing subcontractors. Your script is going to be different if you're calling on a hazardous waste company versus maybe a company that's flower shops. It's just going to be different based upon those things. Factors such as when to call, what days to call, what times, all of that. These all come into play to try and increase the amount of set appointments that you're making every time you do your calls. So we have to take into that consideration. But your script, the wording, needs to help the insured to see what value they get out of it, not talking about yourself. We can talk about ourselves so long as it is really pointing to the value that we provide to the insured. Okay, so what I normally say then in regards to this perfect script that you're trying to create is that it's going to be price plus something. Price plus something. Now, the price doesn't necessarily have to mean premium. It can mean rate. It can mean maybe you have something that could provide a lower deductible. It might be that you have a higher limit on something. You know, maybe you're offering $2 million of limit coverage rather than just $1 million or whatever. It's typically going to be something that has to do with numbers. But I would say it's likely going to be focused on price, and here's why. Most of your prospects do not care about the coverage that you have to offer to them or how it's going to be a better coverage. Not only do they not care, but they don't understand what you're talking about. You can't say to them, you know, the typical carrier out there only has $100,000 of, waste removal, where we actually give $250,000 of waste removal. I would like to talk to you and come and meet with you for an hour to maybe offer a quote on $250,000 of waste removal coverage. Like, they don't care. They just don't care. They don't know. They don't understand. They don't see the value there. What every insurance buyer, however, does understand is, how can you save less money? Or how can you pay less money? How can I save some money? How can I pay less for premium? Everybody understands that. Consumers, individual people, business owners, they all understand I want to lower my costs. Okay? So let's just understand first that that is something every insurance buyer, every decision maker knows and understands. So it would be foolish to pretend like it's not important. In the insurance buyer's mind, it is something that they understand, that they grasp, and they all think about it. Now, I don't think price is most important. I think peace of mind is most important, but price is something that instantly they understand, and it's something they grasp, and it's something everybody's worried about. Peace of mind ultimately is the biggest issue. They want peace of mind, the right agent, the right carrier, the right, plan, policy, and all that kind of. They want to have the right stuff. But right now we're just talking about prospecting. All we're trying to do here is set an appointment. We're not trying to necessarily sell them anything at this point. We're just trying to set an appointment. So we have to arrest their attention. And typically, price is going to be a great place in which to start, plus something. The plus something in your script is going to be something other than price. And I would prefer, everybody's different, I would prefer that it would be something that's detailed inside their micro niche. And what I really feel some of the best scripts have either something that helps that particular insurance buyer increase their revenues, or it has some kind of an ethical pull to it that the insured would almost be a bad person if they didn't actually move forward and learn a little bit about what it is that you're saying. So your script should be price plus something. Okay? I'm going to give you some examples here on what these can be, but I just want you to understand a really good script focuses on a micro niche. You are positioning yourself as the go-to expert in the micro niche area of whatever business your insured is in, and you're hitting them with a price script with plus something else. And then we are asking for a time to meet, give them 2 options, and that's it. You ask them which one of these works better to meet, and then you wait to hear what they say. This is your script. This is your C3. This is your cold call carrot as you're getting into it. In this example, just because I taught some people about it in my mastermind here just a little bit ago, I'm just going to talk about the hospitality industry and hotels with some of the issues of keeping their hotel staff, like maids and housekeepers, keeping them safe from sexual predators. When they go and actually clean out the rooms and so forth, these rooms are often left open as they're going back and forth. And frankly, there's some bad, terrible, wicked people out there that go and they sexually harm these hotel maids and housekeepers, and it's just wrong. It's just bad, right? So this becomes an issue. This is a major issue. This is something that nobody ever wants to have happen to them. They don't want to have it happen to their employees. It's a terrible work comp claim. You're going to get sued. There's just a lot of stuff that's bad, right? And so I want to use that as the plus something in my script, to use it as an ethical dilemma to the insured, that they would almost be a bad person if they didn't meet with me to get it. So in this example, as I'm kind of putting together my script for hotels, it might be something like, I create 5 things that hotel owners can do to keep their hotel employees more safe, specifically their maids, so that their maids are not ever subject to any kind of sexual abuse from residents at the hotel. Okay? So this is what my script might be. And by the way, when we talk about price, I like to go from sort of a worst case scenario to a best case scenario. Worst case is they're with a terrible carrier that's just not very competitive. They're with an agent who doesn't have a lot of access to markets. The agent didn't really do a good job, and the agent, frankly, didn't do any negotiating with the underwriter. They just got a quote and said, here's your quote. And so this is sort of a worst case scenario, okay? I don't know. I don't know anything about the insured yet. I don't know if they have great losses, bad losses, if they are struggling with cash flow, maybe I don't even know if the owner's a good person that I want to have as a client. I don't know yet. I just don't know anything. So I'm starting with kind of in mind a worst case scenario, at least from coverage and price. Okay. Then if I was to offer like a great carrier, very competitive carrier that really wants this class of business, and I put together just a fantastic submission, gets the underwriters begin to salivate. And then not only do I get quotes, but then I even like push on the underwriters to maybe go back and requote to drop the number a little bit further. I need to ask you, what's the difference between that worst case scenario and now the best case scenario? What could be the difference in the pricing? I would say whatever that number is that you think of, that would be the number that you say to people that you're trying to lower their insurance costs in the first year by that amount. Normally that savings, depending on whether you're doing standard markets or surplus lines or whatever, it's going to be somewhere between like 15 and 50%. I mean, it is. You just have to come up with a number that you feel comfortable using in your own mind. I normally say somewhere between like 20 and 40% is where I would feel is like pretty adequate. And just to give you an FYI, even from my consulting company with Constructive Risk, when I am doing renegotiation with the underwriters and with independent agents, I typically average an 11% reduction on quotes that have already been received in the standard market, and I average about 17% in surplus lines. So just by me going in and negotiating on some of these quotes with underwriters and agents, I save 11% for standard markets. I save 17% typically on surplus lines. The most I've ever done is 55%, and that's what I use in my constructive risk script when I'm talking to insurance buyers. So frankly, the opportunity there to save people money in the very first year of doing business with you is pretty substantial. It really is. And certainly, at least when you're talking about prospecting, you prospect from a worst case to a best case scenario. You have to come up with that number. I would normally try to keep the number to something odd, like an odd number. If you're thinking that it could be as much as 40%, then go with 39%. And then I also just like to add, like if you have a problem with it, just add up to 39%. So in this example, I'm just going to use 29%. Okay. I've got my price, 29%, plus my something, which is helping them from an ethical standpoint to protect their people so that they don't get hurt from sexual predators. Okay. Because I want the insured to realize that I have something, and if they don't meet with me, then they are almost an unethical person who doesn't care about their people. Right. And so it's got to be worth their while. What's the carrot? What's the carrot you're dangling out there? All I'm asking is for 30 minutes. So here's what, and I'm just talking off the top of my head with these basic 2 parts, price plus something. Hi, Bob. My name is Charles, and I actually manage an insurance program for hotels here in the state of Tennessee. Why this is so important is that typically in first year, we are saving our hotel clients as much as 29% for our clients compared to what other agents are able to do for hotels here in the state. 29% is a significant amount of money. I mean, I don't know, Bob, how much you're paying for insurance right now, but let's just assume it was $100,000 with all of your policies combined. If we were to save you 29%, obviously that's $29,000. And Bob, that's your $29,000. What we do is we help you keep that in your bank account so you don't have to send it to a carrier. $29,000 this year, $29,000 next year, and so forth. We help you keep the money in your pocket, in your bank account. That's what we do for hotels because we focus in this area. So we lower insurance costs for hotels by as much as 29% in that first year. But really, Bob, what we also do in the secondary part of it here is that because we focus on hotels, we're very concerned about the safety and well-being of our hotels. We want to make sure that you guys are not just profitable, but that you guys are also well taken care of. We know that one of the biggest issues for hotels is the safety for their employees. And I'm talking about your maids and your housekeepers. Because, Bob, no doubt you know in your industry, there are some terrible people out there that are sexually harming maids and housekeepers inside hotels. This is an issue. It's an issue for you. It's an issue, no doubt, for your employees. And frankly, it's an issue for a lot of insurance carriers. They don't want to offer quotes unless you have some kind of safety training and loss prevention for them. So we've actually created a 5-point process that can significantly lower any future claims or exposure to your housekeepers and maids so that they aren't harmed by sexual predators. And what I'm going to do, Bob, is I want to meet with you for maybe about 30 minutes this next Tuesday. I'll be able to pre-qualify you into my program for the potential to save 29% on your overall insurance costs. But just because I'm meeting with you, I'm going to give you the 5-point process that we have to make sure that your maids and your housekeepers never get harmed by sexual predators again. So I want to meet with you this Tuesday to do those two things. Does Tuesday at 11 work or Tuesday at 3 p.m.? Which one's best for you? And I would say that would be likely my script going forward. This is helpful for two reasons. One, it's going to be helpful for the person who is hurting from an insurance premium standpoint, and they know that they need to lower their costs. Okay? So you're going to get a fair number of people who are just interested in potentially lowering their cost. Two, you know what? If they're not interested in the safety of their people, you probably don't want them as a client. Okay? And if they are not interested in the safety of their maids and their housekeepers, they know they are not a good person. And so I'm trying to use my script from an ethical dilemma. If they tell me something like, now's not a good time, or we're happy with who we have, which are typically the two objections you receive. If they tell me now's not a good time, well, when is a good time to make sure that your housekeepers don't get raped, Bob? Right? I mean, I'm not going to say that, but that's what I'm trying I want Bob to realize that this is an ethical dilemma, Bob. You can't just pretend this doesn't happen. So I need Bob to realize that even when I meet with him, I'm going to give him this PDF that provides the 5 things that he needs to do to protect his people. I need Bob to realize that this is just more than insurance. This is a conversation that's going to last 30 minutes. That 15 minutes I might talk about the price savings. 15 minutes I'm going to help him make sure that his employees are taken care of. So if he says something like, we're happy with who we have. We got an agent right now and we're happy. Bob, I appreciate that. I mean, frankly, everybody that I speak to already has an agent, and I'm glad that you have a good agent. That's great. But I'll tell you this, my clients also really love me as their agent. Because what I'm typically able to provide is a significant amount of savings up front, which is at 29%. But then again, Bob, like I mentioned, what really separates us is that my clients love the fact that we care about their employees and that we are doing everything we possibly can to make sure that their employees are not sexually abused while they're at the workplace. And so let's just do this, Bob. I realize you're happy with your agent, and we're not saying that we have to move forward. But let's do this. Let's just meet for 30 minutes. I'll spend maybe the first 15 minutes just telling you how we can potentially lower your costs by 29%. And then for the last 15 minutes, I'll tell you, here are the 5 things you need to do to make sure that your employees are taken care of and that none of them get abused on the job. So does Tuesday at 11 or Tuesday at 3 p.m. work better for you? So you overcome the objection with the ethical dilemma and your carrot, your cold call carrot. If they say the other objection, now's not a good time. Maybe the objection is, we just renewed 6 months ago. Well, I mean, again, here's the ethical dilemma. Well, does that mean it's okay for your employees to get raped in the next 6 months? Okay, now, by the way, I'm just being very clear here. This is real world. You might not like this. I get it. I totally understand it. But for this example, this is a real exposure for this type of business. And so this really hits them between the eyes. Not only is this an important issue for their employees, it's important for the reputation of their hotel. And from the insurance standpoint, a lot of carriers are pretty concerned about it, which is why they don't want to offer quotes on this kind of stuff. So I want to be able to do this, not just to set an appointment, because really, if I'm using this as my plus something in my script, it's because I care. I care. Don't you care? I care. I want these people to be well taken care of and so forth. And so if they say something like, now's not a good time, I'm not going to say, Bob, is really that the ethical answer you're giving to me? I mean, I'm not going to say that, but I'm going to try and push Bob just a little bit. Push him just a little bit to think, Bob, we're talking about the safety and well-being of your people. It's worth 30 minutes. So here's how I might do that. I go through my spiel. He kind of misses it. He says, you know what? I'm just kind of busy right now. Or, we just renewed 6 months ago, whatever his time frame is. I say, hey, Bob, I appreciate that. I'm sorry. I'm calling you right now. I'm just kind of cold calling you in the middle of the day. You're no doubt busy. I get it. I apologize for that. That's kind of why I was asking if maybe we could meet on Tuesday, because, not only just lowering your insurance costs by 29% is what we're trying to provide to our clients right up front in the day one, but because we focus on hotel and safety for your employees, we're very concerned that so many of these sexual predators are out there, and we want to make sure that maids and housekeepers are well taken care of and kept safe, which is why we've created this 5-part process to ensure the loss control and safety for your hotel employees. In fact, the carriers love it, which is also then allows us to get more quotes and potentially even better pricing from some of these carriers, certainly on the workers' compensation. But that's why I want to meet with you maybe Tuesday at 11 or Tuesday at 3, so I can just give you our PDF, which is going to give you the resources you need to ensure the safety of your employees. So, Bob, I realize now's not a good time. I'm sorry. How about Tuesday at 11 a.m. or Tuesday at 3 p.m.? Which one would work better for the potential of 29% savings and the safety of your employees? Now, if Bob still might not meet with me, and his reasons might be legitimate. That's true. But at the end of the day, prospecting is a numbers game. I'm not trying to sell any insurance here. I'm just trying to set appointments. I'm not trying to lie. I've created this PDF. We've created this whatever. You're only going to say things that are right and legitimate. 100%. Do not lie. Do not exaggerate. Do not embellish. Say what is real and genuine. But if you put together the right script that has the right price plus something, you're probably going to set significantly more appointments with having to do fewer cold calls over the course of time, because you're helping people see their bigger need, and you're also offering something to them that's a bit of an ethical dilemma if they even choose not to move forward. And I would tell you that even in this example with hotels, they know this is an issue for them. They not only deal with that, but they deal also with sexual traffickers who come through and try and rent rooms. These are issues that particular industry struggles with and is trying to figure out. So what if you put together something, maybe you just get information from carriers, maybe you get information from other associations, whatever, but you put together some kind of information that can help them, because maybe they haven't thought through the issues. Maybe they had a claim on it 2 months ago and they're scared about it ever happening again, and you come in and have something that could maybe help them. Well, again, this is the good, right thing to do. And as an insurance advisor, you have an ethical dilemma, because you have to make sure that you can help them. And if you have something that can really help them lower their cost and protect their people, then you need to do everything you possibly can to ensure that they meet with you. Do not take no for an answer if at all possible. When they give you the very sort of basic, lame excuses that we're happy with who we have or now's not a good time, I get it. Those are very easy to say. They say it all the time because normally it's true. It's usually a bad time, and usually they're pretty happy. So it's not as though they're untrue. It's just it's very easy to say. It's like if you were in the mall, at a clothing shop, and someone came up to you and said, "Sir, can I help you with anything?" 9 times out of 10, what comes out of your mouth is, "Right now I'm just looking. Thank you very much, though." That's normally what we say, because we are looking and we don't want to be pressured. And so normally on any kind of a sales call like that, there's pressure. They are going to object with either, "I'm happy with who we have," or "now's not a good time." The best way to overcome those is to have price plus something. And I like the something that usually is something ethical. If nothing else, it can be something that's just unique to their particular industry. For example, here's another example. Maybe you're calling on restaurants, and so you don't even have to have the service yourself. You don't even have to have the plus something inside your agency. Maybe what you do is you have seminars with companies that do it. Maybe you do a lunch and learn. Or maybe like in an example, I'm going to use websites and maybe social media here in just a second, is that maybe you bring an outside consultant and the insured can hire them if they want. But what you're doing is you're establishing the fact that you understand their business, you understand their industry, you have something that's unique. So maybe yours could be to restaurants. Bob, my name is Charles, and I'm giving you a call about a restaurant program that I'm managing here for restaurants in Tennessee. Bob, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, it's very unique from the standpoint that we have the opportunity, the ability here to potentially lower your insurance costs for your restaurant premiums by as much as 29% in this very first year. 29% is a significant amount, Bob. That's what we're able to do because we specialize in restaurants. 29% of your premium. But Bob, what really maybe sets us apart from everybody else is that we know that over 80% of new customers who ever come to your establishment will look at your website first or your social media and your Yelp reviews to see whether or not they like what they have seen and if you have any pictures of things that they're interested in eating. What we do, because we understand restaurants and we focus on there, is that we have created a unique relationship that we know how to redesign your website to get more new customers to come in. In fact, we've also even sort of created a very unique social media campaign that's going to drive more traffic out there so that people are seeing more about your restaurant, and it's going to increase. What we're shooting for here is an 11% increase in new customers coming into your restaurant over the course of the next 12 months. And so that's what we do because we focus on restaurants. We are helping them, one, lower their overall insurance premiums by 29%. Plus, we have negotiated and worked with website review and social media campaigns for restaurants to increase the number of customers that come to your restaurant by 11%. Let's meet, Bob, 30 minutes this Tuesday, and not only will I begin to pre-qualify you for the 29% savings, but I will be able to show you how we could potentially increase the number of new customers to your restaurant by 11%. Does Tuesday at 9 a.m. work, or maybe Tuesday at 2 p.m.? Which one works best for a 30-minute conversation? So you just find the problem that they're sort of dealing with, what they would want. And in that instance, it was how to increase revenue, which, by the way, if you have a script that not only lowers costs but increases revenue, they're going to remember you. Most of your competitors are only dealing with like one thing over here, either like we're good people, we got good coverages, or maybe price. But very rarely does anybody ever talk about how they can get better in their business, how you can help the insurer get better in their business. If you can create a script like that, my friends, you're going to flat out dominate this space. You will dominate the space. Your carrot, your script, is not only going to be used in cold calling, it becomes your email campaign. It becomes your social media focus. It becomes your brand. It becomes your newsletter. It becomes your website material. It's your content going forward. It's all of that. When you know what your C3 is, your cold call carrot, you're going to flat out set more appointments and write more business. You're going to get more new clients. You're going to win more signed broker of record letters than Frankie would have ever thought possible. I know it's true. I know it to be the case. And so the real issue is then, are you going to do it? Are you going to change your script? Are you going to do the work? Are you going to make the phone calls, do the hard work, or not? I guess it's just leave it up to you. You can continue with that tired old script and get the same, sad, tired results that you've always gotten, or you can actually do something that works. Now, before you leave, remember, Permission Producer School. Go check it out. I am going to teach insurance agents how to do a lot of different things in the Permission Producer School. PermissionProducerSchool.com. Go check out that website. You can get registered. It's only $497. We're going to teach you sales mindset. We're going to put together the script with you. We're going to put together your calendar, accountability. We're going to be able to help you with the prospecting, what to say to your prospects when you're meeting with them face-to-face, how to negotiate carrier access points, how to uncover the problems that they have, how to create different differentiation in the insurer's mind, how to ask for the signed broker of record letter, how to negotiate with underwriters and so forth, how to ask for the business and actually win. There's so many different things that we talk about in the Permission Producer School that for $497 to help you increase or help you to scale to $100,000 of commission and then the $250,000 of commission in 6 to 9 months for 100 grand and 15 to 18 months for $250,000. It is worth $497 to get that done. You're going to overcome a lot of these problems, but it starts with permissionproducerschool.com. My name is Charles Specht. I am the host here of the Millionaire Insurance Producer Podcast. Thank you for listening, where I teach and train insurance agents just like you how to build a $1 million or more book of business through signed broker of record letters. This is the Millionaire Insurance Producer Podcast.